policies where it's AI, it's harvesting all of our data for the.
Yes. Hi, Emily, I just wanted to see if we can hear each other.
Like it's gonna spy your background.
Oh, hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Oh. Perfect. Thank you.
or so AM. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll and swear in any witnesses?
Thank you, Vice Chair Schlick. Please note, for the record, that Chair Rodriguez has notified us that she will not be present for today's meeting. All remaining, board members are participating in person today. Member Gonzalez,
Present.
Member Powers,
Present.
Member Spencer,
Present.
Vice Chair Schlick.
Present.
Thank you. I would ask that the following individuals please identify themselves for the record. Hearing Board Counsel,
Emily Helm, Senior Deputy County Counsel, Counsel for the Hearing Board.
thank you. Air Pollution Control District staff.
Okay.
Mary Mahoney, Civil Actions Investigator.
Dan Plotner, Program Coordinator.
Vera Tiagi, Counsel for the APCD.
Thank you. I would like to note for the record that Emily Helms, Counsel for the Hearing Board, and Vera Tiagi, Counsel for the Air Pollution Control District, will be participating remotely today. I will now swear in those that wish to provide any testimony on any item on today's agenda. This includes petitioners, respondents, and APCD staff. Please raise your right hand for the swearing. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in the matter before this hearing board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now move on to non-agenda public communication. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to the hearing board on subject matter within the hearing board's jurisdiction, but not regarding an item on today's agenda. Before we proceed, Madam Clerk, have we received any requests from members of the public that wish to address the board today on non-agenda public communication?
Thank you, Vice Chair Schlick. We have received no requests from members of the public to address the board today. However, However, those members of the public that are joining us via teleconference, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions provided on the screen. You may also indicate that you wish to speak on this item by using the raise hand feature on the bottom at the bottom of the Zoom screen or by pressing star.
And do we have anyone attending from the public today?
Vice Chair, seeing no hands raised, there are no members of the public wishing to provide non-agenda public comment today.
Thank you. Let's see, we will now move to the approval of the July 13th San Diego County Air Pollution Control District Hearing Board Statement of Proceedings minutes. And I believe there were two different statements of proceedings minutes for that day. Before we proceed, Madam Clerk, have we received any requests from members of the public that wish to address the board today on administrative item B?
Thank you, Vice Chair Schlick. We have received no requests from members of the public to address the board under administrative item B. However, those members of the public that are joining us via the teleconference line, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions provided on the screen. You may also indicate that you wish to speak on this item by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen or by pressing star 9 now. Vice Chair, seeing no hands raised, there are no members of the public wishing to provide a comment on administrative item B.
Okay, so let's proceed then with comments from the district staff and board members regarding the administrative item B. Again, this is the approval of statement of proceedings minutes for July 13th, 2023. And in a little bit, we'll go to the next item, which is the special meeting section of that day, that day's meeting. So right now, we're just looking at the regular meeting from July 13th. Any comments, questions?
No comments.
Is there a motion for approval of the statement of proceedings or minutes from July 13th, 2023?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Great. Okay, so there's a motion by member Powers, seconded by member Spencer. Madam Chair, would you, Madam Clerk, sorry, will you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Vice Chair Schlick, would you like to open up, comment to the district?
Oh, yes, did the district, I thought I did, but let's just double check. Any comments?
No comment.
Okay, no comments, okay. So yes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I will now go ahead and proceed with the roll call. Member Gonzalez,
Aye.
Member Powers,
Aye.
Member Spencer,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schlick.
Aye.
Madam Vice Chair, that motion passes with all members present voting aye, with the exception of Chair Rodriguez, who is not present for today's meeting.
Okay, we'll now move to the approval of the July 13th special meeting. Of minutes or statement of proceedings. Before we proceed, Madam Clerk, have we received any requests from members of the public that wish to address the board today on administrative item C, which is about the special meeting minutes or statement of proceedings from July 13th?
Thank you, Vice Chair Schlick. We have received no requests from members of the public to address the board at this time. On administrative item C, if you'll just give me one moment, I'll go ahead and share the instructions to participate. Those members of the public that are joining us via teleconference, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions provided on the screen. You may also indicate that you wish to speak on this item by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen or by pressing *9. Vice Chair Schlick, seeing no hands raised, there are no members of the public wishing to provide public comment on administrative item C.
Okay, so let's proceed then to comments from district staff and board members on this administrative item C, which is the statement of minutes or proceedings about our discussion during the special meeting regarding the revised hearing board rules of procedure.
I have no comment.
No comments? Okay. District staff, any comments?
No.
All right. Okay. So let's see. Is there a motion for approval then of the statement of proceedings for the special meeting of July 13th, 2023?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, there is a motion by member Spencer, seconded by member Powers. Will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Vice Chair Schlick. Member Gonzalez,
Aye.
Member Powers,
Aye.
Member Spencer,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schlick.
Aye.
Vice Chair, that motion passes with all members present voting aye, with the exception of Chair Rodriguez, who is not present for today's meeting.
Thank you. Let's move on to administrative item D, which is discussion and consideration of adopting the revised hearing board rules of procedure. Have the members of the board had a chance to review the documents provided in today's agenda packet?
Yes.
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 Okay. But before we proceed, Madam Clerk, have we received any requests from members of the public that wish to address the board today on administrative item D?
Thank you, Vice Chair Schlick. We have received no requests from members of the public to address the board under administrative item D. However, I will go ahead and display the dial-in information. However, those members of the public that are joining us via teleconference, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions provided on the screen. You may also indicate that you wish to speak on this item by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen or by pressing *9. Vice Chair, seeing no hands raised, there are no members of the public wishing to provide public comment or testimony on administrative item D.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So let's proceed with comments from the district staff and board members. So does the district have any sort of presentation today or items that they'd like to discuss about the revised?
No, we've read the rules and the revisions and don't have any comments.
Okay. That sounds good, because about a year ago, we had a lot of work to do, so I feel like maybe we're getting close to wrapping this up. Okay, what about the board members? Board members? Any general comments, and then maybe we'll kind of go page by page.
Maybe just to clarify with the staff, it looks like this is just a true track change version of what we discussed at the last meeting. There's been no changes to it, right?
I saw changes, so
Okay.
so this is if you take a look, so why don't we pull this up? Yeah, the red line one, maybe the red line one. Yeah, if we look at, and this is shared with the public too.
I can do that now.
Yeah, that would be great.
On Mr. Powers, to answer your question, this does just attempt to implement the changes that the board requested at the previous meeting.
So it's implementing the changes that we talked about, so we can we'll go through them a little bit.
But did you see additional changes from?
Oh, no, just implementation of what we talked about.
Good.
So we just kind of need to just kind of double check that looks like what we expected.
Okay.
And then I feel like we're getting close.
Good.
I hope so. Okay. All right. And just real quick, is there, because Chair Rodriguez is not here today, is anyone feeling very strongly that we should table this until she can be with us? Or are we feeling like, we have quorum, let's just, move on ahead? That's kind of what I was hoping to do, is just move on ahead.
Yeah, I mean, absent hearing anything specific from Chair Rodriguez. I'd be okay moving ahead if the rest of us
Yeah.
are comfortable.
And yeah, okay, so let's keep going then. Okay, so. Okay, so the first thing that we see implemented from our discussion last time is this addition of clerk of the hearing board in the definitions. And then a re-lettering of the rest of the items here under definitions. So we have added subsection E, clerk of the hearing board provides administrative support to the hearing board in connection with hearing board proceedings. I think that looked good. I mean, I know we didn't really specify specific language, but we talked about this and so I believe it's Emily Helms that helped put into place these additions and revisions. Okay. Any questions about this page?
No.
Okay. Okay, the next rule, chair and vice chair, no changes since our last discussions, hearing board hours, just quorum, hearing by fewer than 4 members, effectiveness of action, all of this is carrying through previous things that we've already discussed. Okay, here's the next thing that we implemented to the revised hearing board procedures. Rule 13. So we have, except as otherwise expressly provided in this Rule 13, request for hearing shall be initiated by the filing of a petition. And then subsection B, this whole section is kind of revised, it seems, to clarify, kind of updating, because it was kind of mostly based on paper previously. So this talks about submitting it electronically and using the forms provided if possible, and if not, then what kind of format to use. So any questions about this? Is this looking kind of like what we envisioned it would be?
It looks like what we discussed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Mhm. Okay, and then this old subsection C was taken out and instead, we have the subsection D. Subsection E about the emergency variance, and then lastly, subsection F. About filing and serving any other sorts of petitions 14 days before. Okay, so does that all look good? And Member Gonzalez, do you have any like general feedback or questions? Because we've missed you for a few meetings, so I just want to make sure we give you time to be comfortable with the revised.
Yeah, I kind of recall that we were going over this with Chair Rodriguez initially, and we were going page by page.
Yeah. Then did you have any concerns or questions about any of what we've gone over so far?
No, I not had to send it.
Okay. Okay, then contents of petitions, I don't think this has been changed. With this meeting. Oh, for this subsection B. So subsection A, subsection B, petitioners encourage, oh, this is the part about forms. About encouraging them to use the forms, and then if they don't use the forms, what kind of like. Kind of pleading papers, what if this looks like to me, typewritten double space. 4 inches at the top on the first page, 1 inch at the top and left side on the other pages, but then we added this last part was.
I like the last.
You like the last part? Yeah, notwithstanding the foregoing, the hearing board may in its discretion accept any legible petition. Now, I'm pretty sure this should be fine, right? Because legible has a dictionary definition. So I think this goes with what we were intending when we talked last week.
You know, is it dictionary definition or is it reasonable person standard definition?
Well, I mean, I think if we can't read it or understand it, we're going to, in our discretion, not accept it, right? So I think that's kind of.
Yeah, I think the presumption here is that the petitioner is going to try and follow that 2-inch margin, 1-inch margin. They're going to try and do that. They might screw it up, and we're not going to reject them just
Yes.
because they.
If it's a
There was
point
some-
off or
right.
something, yeah, we're not gonna get out our rulers, yeah,
Yes.
okay, sounds great, okay. Okay, okay, and then here we had the kind of helpful information in subsection D about how to access the, forms on the website. And kind of not, kind of a general link here, but including the sdacpd.org. So that looks accessible, right? For, even if the exact website kind of changes, it still will probably be help, like. Is that an active link? Like if you click on it?
Not at this.
Not on the side, okay, but I think it gives the information that the public would need. And then hard copies available, okay, so let's move on to the next rule.
I'd actually be curious to know if any members of, if APCD staff have any comments on these past two sections.
Oh, yes, thank you.
No, I mean, they seem accurate, and I think last time I had asked the clerk if the links were, functional, and you replied that they were. So I think we're comfortable with how it's written.
Maybe on the non-rewriting version, that would be a real link. But otherwise, it's got kind of enough information there for people to navigate to the forms page. Okay, all right. Okay, this rule 15 has pretty much been unchanged this whole time because it really just closely tracks the requirements under the law. We've got rule 16 here, rule 17, no changes.
There is a change in rule 17, section H.
Oh, section H,
There was
okay.
a line that was stricken.
Ah, yes. The variance. Okay, and maybe that's just a
I can clarify if that would help.
I
We
think so.
changed our numbering quite a bit, and the reference didn't seem to provide that much help. So we just said if an emergency variance is filed, that was the intent there.
Questions or concerns about that? Okay, Rule 18, permit appeals. No changes there. Rule 19 amendments. No updates or changes there. Rule 20 response. And then here on submitted material, this got cleaned up a little bit. We've got Rule 21 submitted material. We took out the examples. That's kind of what we discussed last time. Is this kind of what everyone was envisioning? But then added a cross-reference to Rule 25 evidence.
Yeah, I have a question, just to refresh my memory. I know we talked about this where often the district comes in with a PowerPoint just a couple of days before, which is good when we need it to understand what's going on. And I just am forgetting at the moment what a resolution was about that, because the other party obviously should get the same treatment. And we have this 7 days on written material. Are we just kind of informally agreeing that good cause is what? I mean, we would accord the same opportunity to the petitioner as well. And we resolved it. I just can't remember how we resolved it.
Yeah, so there's two sections I remember being in the revised rules of procedure. One is about like official response. And the other is about visual presentations. So submitted material might be things like affidavits. Would it also be well, anyway, and then I know that Rule 25 evidence, let's see. Has some of the stuff, but then there's also this thing about it's later on, let's see, it's
Well, we have a section where we encourage the petitioners to do a PowerPoint,
yeah.
but I just trying to get clear on the 7-day issue. You know,
Vice Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Member Powers currently, the clerk of the board does send a notice out to petitioners with the 10-day notice of hearing. Also letting them know that the visual presentations are not required, but they're encouraged. And giving them just additional information on what can be provided.
Okay,
So they are notified and they are advised of the deadline.
okay. Thanks.
As
It
written,
is
parties should be prepared to present their evidence and arguments to the hearing board as further specified in Rule 23 orders and procedures. Visual presentations, e.g. slideshows, are recommended but not required.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think in the past, if they provide written material like a memo or, you know, their answer, you know, or like argument, whatever it is going to be by the 7-day deadline, but then they also come with a slideshow. Usually we accept it if it's in substance, the same kind of, it's like the same as what they had submitted in writing, right? And then I think there was one time that we denied the district because, and we just had them go on verbal, from my experience on the hearing board.
That's fine. And as long as they're getting notified, you know, then the ball's in their court. So that's fine.
Yes, they do, there is notification that comes out from the clerk's office to the petitioner.
Well, and Vice Chair, if I may, as the rules as currently written, everything including slideshows should be presented or provided 7 days by that deadline. And if not, the board will need to vote on good cause to accept it. So that's how the rules currently read.
Yes, that's how I read them too. So,
Okay.
okay, yeah. Great. Any thoughts from the district on this, Rule 21's minute material?
No, it follows what we traditionally attempted to do with the 7-day deadline for position papers and oftentimes, but not always, slides.
So the district staff also makes every reasonable effort to have theirs ready to go 7 days in advance, maybe consistent with this rule.
Yes, we do. Sometimes the slides that match our, presentation that we're giving just orally on the day of the hearing may not be prepared 7 days in advance, or if it's a rapidly changing situation, then we might not have it ready in time or sufficiently ready to be as meaningful. So we try for the 7 days.
Okay,
And that would be our good cause argument to the
Yeah.
board, that things have changed, and so it's more helpful to your understanding, and that's what we would argue. for you.
yeah, and that to me sounds better, that we were ready to go at least 7 days in advance, but in the last several days, something has changed that justifies us getting it in less time. That makes sense. Okay.
All right, okay, so shall we move on then to Rule 22? Okay, this is good. I think this is great. It clarifies that the agenda will be posted on the website and here at this property of the APCD offices, and then and that's much more clear to me. That's kind of what we talked about. Does that look good to everybody else?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, for order of procedures, Rule 23, I don't think I see any changes from last meeting. Any comments here? Okay, seeing none, let's move along. Official notice. It's pretty straightforward. Any questions or comments? Okay. Evidence, there's no updates to this section. Any questions or comments? No, okay. Request for discovery, statements, writings. This is all pretty straightforward and hasn't been changed since last meeting. Rule 27 subpoenas. Now this one I had a question on that we didn't update or change it, but for subsection C, the part about the witnesses appearing pursuant to subpoena. It's a very long sentence. I think this whole sentence is the whole section. And so I got a little confused about the fees, because it says mileage in the same amount, blah, 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 is provided by government code section 68093. But the part in the first part of the sentence, shall receive fees. It just kind of seemed like it was just kind of dangling out there, like, okay, well, what does this mean, right? So I did get some counsel from our counsel for the hearing board, and it is pursuant to the same government code section 68093, which is pretty minimal. A witness fee for a whole day of testifying would be $35, and then the mileage fees are 20 cents. And I'm sure we don't want to spell that out in the section, because I'm sure that may change as the government code might change. But I was just a little bit worried that having the part about shall receive fees, so spread out from the other part. I don't know, it just kind of looked a little bit confusing, but maybe I'm overthinking this, and maybe to you guys, if it looks like the fees and the mileage are both pursuant to the government code section 68093, then I'm okay with going forward with it like this.
Vice Chair, if I may add, this language is taken directly from the Administrative Procedures Act. So if you had any concerns about that, it's the exact language from the statute.
Yeah, and so that means it must work. So I think maybe I am overthinking this, but I just want to run it past the other members.
Yeah. If this is drawn directly from that act, I would not touch it.
All right,
And just for informational purposes, has a subpoena ever been issued by the hearing board?
by this hearing board,
Not to my knowledge.
Not in the past 8 years, to my knowledge.
okay, so let's move on then. Great, and okay, and then, and it's also it was a question that was easily answered, so I think any member of the public could easily get it answered too. Rule 28 continuances. Any questions or concerns about this one? Right, okay, rule 29, withdrawal of petition or appeal. We've had a few of those happen. Rule 30, any questions or comments about that one? Rule 30, failure to appear for hearing. There's no updates since the last meeting, but any other questions or concerns? No. Oh, rule 31 findings. So this one, I'm assuming in the non-red line version, it's paragraphed. Because I was getting confused that it was part of the rule 30.
I'll make sure to review that as well when we're doing our final formatting.
So that's just a formatting issue.
Sure.
But rule 31 findings. I don't think there's any updates to this one since our last discussion on it. But any questions from member Gonzalez? Concerns? Okay. Any questions or comments from the district staff on any of these that we've?
No.
Okay. Okay, compliance schedules. This one I think we've discussed in the past, and if there's no new revisions to it. Any questions or concerns about this one? Okay. Rule 33 decision. And we're on the last page now. Effective date of decision and rehearing. Any questions or concerns about these last three?
No.
No? All right. Okay. Let's all take a breath. We've been doing a lot of work on these revised rules of procedure for about the last year, at least. And there were no requests for public comment.
That is correct.
Okay, so we're is there any other further discussion on this administrative item D?
No, we didn't make any substantive changes to anything. We just went through and essentially accepted everything was done last time.
That's right, and that was the hope, because today we have noticed, right, Madam Clerk, we did notice this for potential adoption.
That's correct.
Okay. So let's see,
And Vice Chair can opt to bring the final revision one last time before.
yes, yeah. So first of all, so how about, let's see. So we could have, so is there any sort of motion? Is there a motion by any member of the board to, you know, to either adopt at a later date or, because we didn't discuss any actual revisions, or to adopt it today?
Well, what is to be gained by adopting it today versus adopting it at a future meeting? What is to be gained by putting it off?
Well, number one, we have we have, I think if we adopt it today, it's not going, I think we would still have to then, accept the statement of proceedings and minutes before it would actually roll out. But this has been in the works for a long time, so. And I would imagine it's possible that, this item could be reheard if we move to adopt it, but then. Next time, if Chair Rodriguez joins us and it's like, well, wait a second, I had a concern or something, we could just not accept those statement of proceedings perhaps and rehear the matter, right? We can rehear matters just like the petition, just like the members of the public can ask for a rehearing. So I think there's no danger in moving to adopt today. I think it could only be good to not put it off again, but this is all, so this is all speculative until there's a motion on the table.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to understand
This procedure.
the procedure and, what follows downstream if we do it versus not before the site of exception.
Maybe Ms. Helms or Ms. Tiagi might be able to give us a better answer to your question, Member Spencer.
Member Smith, we don't really have any opinion about whether the board should adopt now or later. The board can make the rules effective at any time they like. So they could say could have the rules effective as of today if they adopt them, or they could say they're effective in, next week. So it's entirely up to the board's discretion. And if the board would also like to, put off final adoption until the chair returns, that's fine as well. It's entirely up to the board, in our opinion.
Okay. Well, I think it would be important to maybe have at least some sort of vote of confidence or something today, because we have all of us here except for the chair.
I would make a motion to adopt the revised hearing board rules of procedure today.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So there is a motion by Member Powers, seconded by Member Spencer, Madam Clerk, and the motion is to adopt the revised rules of procedure. And they would be effective today.
Yes.
Effective today. Okay, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Member Gonzalez,
Aye.
Member excuse me, Member Powers,
Aye.
Member Spencer,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schlick.
Aye.
Madam Vice Chair, the motion passes with all members present, voting aye, with the exception of Chair Rodriguez, who is not present for today's meeting.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. That concludes the hearing board business for the regular meeting, August 10th, 2023. The next meeting of the APCD hearing board will take place on August 24th, 2023 at 9 a.m. We will convene again that day at 9 a.m. Have a great week. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We did it. Okay.
Success.
The project, long project. All right. Oh, yeah. Let me read this.